Hey guys, we are getting Hey, everybody, and welcome to an episode of This Just In. This one's very special. This one's about Caleb Harris. And the reason that we're talking about Caleb Harris on here today is because the live that we recorded last night on on TikTok that I said I was going to upload to YouTube, downloaded it. I get about 3 minutes in, and then it cuts to black. I tried it from the phone, tried it from the computer. Nothing works. However, I took some notes. And there is a chance Tony will come back on. I didn't give him a lot of notice, but I just sent him a link and he may kind of fill in some of the gaps. But I think that we can talk about it and give you guys the information that you need, that you wanted to hear, that you missed. And fortunately, if you are watching this now on YouTube, it will be here forever. That's good. Obviously, you guys know that we have a few things that we have to do. We have to do some announcements. Before I get into those announcements, though, just real quick, if this is the first time here, trying to grow this channel, a lot of you guys know me from TikTok, from Instagram, but YouTube has really kind of been blowing up. I love doing content here. It's a great platform to do it. Smash that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate having you guys here. Now, I have to do a couple shameless promotions because if not, you guys wouldn't know that this existed, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is this. I have a podcast called 50 Words for Murder. Not everything I talk about on here ends up as a podcast episode, but a lot of it does. And sometimes we have stuff that is just for the podcast that go there. So if you can't listen to this, you can't listen to some of these interviews, these stories in front of a computer or a TV, you can take them on the go in the car, working around the house. Go to link in my profile, JustinOnTikTok.com. It's right under my picture. You'll see this, click on it. It'll take you to Spotify, but I'm available streaming on all platforms that you could be listening to it. The next thing is what goes hand in hand with true crime? Children's books, right? Sort of, kind of. I've written two. Just want to let you guys know that these are available as well. You can get them from the TikTok shop or through that same link in my bio. The first one is called Boundaries. Boundaries is a book for if you are no contact, limited contact with a family member. This is a way to explain it to your kids in a way that's easy for them to understand, that doesn't vilify that person, but then goes into teaching them the importance of boundaries, which is something that I wish we all could have had when we were kids. Okay. The other one I wanted to let you guys know about is this is the newest one. Just came out. I'm still waiting on the hardcover, but the soft cover is available. Surprises are okay. Secrets are not. Now, I will argue that this one in particular is directly true crime related because I don't want to be talking about somebody's kid on one of these stories. I talk enough about those. And if we can save one, that's great. This book is designed to help you talk to your kids that surprises have an end date, secrets aren't okay, especially if an adult tries to get you to keep a secret. And at the end of it, I put a Q&A with your child It can go all the way from 4 to the tweens. That's how I designed this book. And this question can be answered differently depending. But basically, the question is, can you think of anything that somebody might want to keep a secret that you should tell a trusted adult? And I use the word trusted adult on purpose. It's there to spark dialogue, help your children learn to use their voice and know what's okay and what's not. Again, link in my bio, TikTok shop, and there's where they're at. So Caleb Harris, he's been missing for a while now. It seems to have gone dark. There's not a whole lot of information out there, but we did get some stuff last night. I'm going to be looking over here a little bit because I got a notebook. I'm going to look at this notebook and talk about what Tony said. So there wasn't really a whole lot, but there is something major on this that does skew the timeline, or I don't want to say skew it, but changes the timeline from what we knew. And that's a witness. And it's interesting. You know, let's not even wait. Let's just get right into it. Okay. With this new timeline, there at least now about 5 to 6 hours that Caleb was unaccounted for. This timeline also puts him at that bridge sometime about 3:35, 3:40 in the morning. And if you don't know what bridge I'm talking about, there is a bridge about 0.8 of a mile away from Caleb's apartment. And he was seen walking Jenny, the little dog, the little white dog. He was seen walking. And then when you look at like the fact that at 3:20, his Uber Eats order arrived, he's walking the dog at 3:35, 3:40. You can get back to your apartment 20, 25 minutes walking at a slow pace. But apparently there's a couple of reasons Caleb stuck out. One is it was like 3 in the morning. And there's this dude dressed in a lot of white, walking this tiny little white lap dog. You're going to take notice of that. And this guy did. Apparently, this witness, he's a middle-aged guy. Sounds like mid to late 40s, give or take. Blue collar. And he was able to describe the dog, Jenny, and Caleb, and what Caleb was wearing to a T. And this guy works and every day gets up, leaves his house to go to work, same time. And for 10 years, he's been on this shift. And he said the first time in 10 years he ever saw somebody like this, because it's typically homeless people, vagrants, not some clean cut, crisp looking kid dressed in all white, walking a little lap dog. So that really does change the timeline a little bit. Tony believes it to be credible. The family, Randy, believes it to be credible. The police believe him to be credible. And the PI believes them to be credible. So this is a huge lead. But it does change timeline. It also means that he was seen at this time. I think the original thought was that when the Uber Eats order was dropped off at about 3:20 or so in the morning, that Caleb was already missing. That's why he didn't pick it up. Well, now we know he wasn't missing at that time, because at 3:35, 3:40 in the morning, he was spotted with the dog, and the dog got home, meaning that he would have had to have taken him home, another 25-minute walk. That's going to put you roughly, if he had left right then, 4:10-ish, give or take, in the morning. Meaning that Uber Eats order was sitting out there for probably an hour-ish. The other thing which I learned is apparently the layout of this apartment complex is that the back door is the door that they really use, what they refer to as the front door. It's kind of weird. You park in the rear, you walk in the rear door, and then there's still technically a front door. Well, when Caleb left on this walk, he would have entered an exit through what was technically the front door, and the Uber Eats driver would have dropped this Uber Eats order off at the back door, because that's where the parking pad was. So instead of having to walk all the way around. So Caleb might have dropped the dog off, and then something happened, and he disappeared. He never even got a chance to go pick up his Uber Eats order. But that does make things a little bit interesting. Was he followed from that bridge? Did something happen? We don't know. I guess that's the next steps. Now, obviously, we don't have all the information. We have what they were allowed to tell us, allowed to share with us. Police, I would hope and assume, know more than what we're being told. But it does extend the timeline. couple other things I want to talk about too is there's a lot of stuff that I've seen online talking about Caleb and a Reddit account. And since Tony talked about this Reddit account, I think that it's okay. Normally, I don't like to talk about things that are unsubstantiated, and technically, it still is unsubstantiated. But there is a rumor, whatever, going around that there is a Reddit account associated with Caleb. And the police know about that. They've apparently known about that pretty much since day one. It is part of the investigation. The police have not confirmed, keyword here, police has not confirmed that this is or is not Caleb's account. So it could be, but it also couldn't be. And the reason I'm saying that is when you have a lot of information around there flying, look, I get it. We want to find out what happened to him. There's not that much information out there. So you cling on to what you have, trying to find something, trying to find some clue. And I'm not telling you to stop. Continue doing that. Social media is key at these cases. Social media found Gabby Petito. Joe Petito was with us last night. Social media found his daughter. So you guys are important. A lot of y'all bring a skill set that, others don't have. You bring in different points of view that law enforcement might not have. And I think that that's really valuable. You also people can operate within a gray area where police, and I was talking about this earlier today with somebody, police have to operate within the confines of black and white, especially when it comes to an investigation, especially if they're considering that investigation criminal. But they have to operate within certain confines. Otherwise, it can mess up the case. Private detectives, private citizens, y'all don't have to do that. Y'all can do within reason what you want. Now, you start throwing out accusations that aren't true, aren't substantiated, you can get yourself sued. You can, create a real problem for the investigation, making creators like me have to come in and correct misinformation. So what I'm saying is just be very careful as you share it. The family knows about this Reddit account. The police know about this Reddit account. It's not confirmed. And I would say that if you guys are talking about this in social media, wherever it is, and I'm not going to go into the weeds on it, just please tread with caution and please make sure that it's known that it's not confirmed to be his. Doesn't matter what you think until it comes out from law enforcement or from the family. That's what we have to go on. So just want to get that out of the way. Police also have Caleb's computer. They've apparently had it for 43 days. The phone is still not found, but they had for 43 days to go through his digital footprint. The Uber Eats driver has been cleared. The Uber Eats driver who dropped off the food has been cleared. The roommates have been cleared. I know people always want to jump straight to the roommates. As Tony said, and look, I'm not saying that friends and family can't do things. One of these guys was a lifelong friend of Caleb's, and the other one has known him for 3 years. And when you're 21 years old and you met him in college, that's pretty much a lifelong friend, or would become, maybe, probably. But the police are confident that they had nothing to do with Caleb's disappearance. They're distraught. They're hurting. And just remember that when you post and you talk about these people, you never know who's in the chat. So think about it. If it was your kid, your family member, your friend, how would you want people talking about them if you were in there, if they were in there, if their family was in there? Again, I'm just trying to remind y'all to be cognizant. I wouldn't want to say anything if Tony was here or Randy, or if I'm talking about Gabby Petito, if Joe was there, that would offend them. And I can also tell you from a firsthand knowledge, making accusations about people without the evidence to be able to do so is very, very dangerous. It can get people hurt or killed. And this is not the live to focus on a different case where that did happen to somebody totally innocent that was friends with the victim. But I'm just letting you know, your words have, actions and words have consequences. Please just be cautious of that. Now, at this point, that's pretty much the information that's out there. Now, people are asking, how did the dog get back there? And then what happened to Caleb? I don't know. Where is Caleb's phone? We don't know. It pinged and then turned off. Now, there is a chance that Caleb is still alive. That's what they were talking about it. And so that's obviously a concern that they don't want to jeopardize his safety if he is. But it's very limited on what they actually have out there. There's also some more things, obviously, that the police have And Tony knows that the police has additional information, but they won't necessarily even share it with him or the family because it's part of an investigation. But I want to talk about a few things with this because this case is bizarre. People don't just vanish, they don't just disappear without a trace. And we seem to have a lot of that this year in particular. Sebastian Rogers, Elijah View, Caleb Harris, they've all disappeared. No trace of any of them. There's a couple more, from last year. Layla Santinello and Holland Snap in Tennessee disappeared without a trace. We have another missing person that just started on Friday in West Tennessee, Alexandria Chapman. She was never seen leaving her school, yet she's disappeared. She's gone. No cameras caught her leaving. So it's weird that in 2024, in a digital age where everybody's got cameras are everywhere, that there's nothing picking him up or picking up on him. Even the apartment complex, I remember this from the last interview where we had Caleb and Tony. In the last interview, they chose the complex that Caleb lived in because it was gated and had cameras, and neither of those were working. And I'm not saying that it's convenient. I'm not saying that it's some type of nefarious thing where somebody sabotaged the cameras. I'm just saying that it's odd that we have all of these cases. We just named a lot of cases, and there's nothing. It's just like they poof, vanished. So there's not a lot to go on. Other than that, I mean, that's the bulk of the update, guys. I'm happy to answer any questions. I guess we could talk about the dog a little bit, about Jenny. But he could have dropped the dog off, went back out. He obviously didn't go back in. When I say he obviously didn't go back in, he obviously didn't go back in and stay in. Let the dog off, and then he went and did something else, whether he went to go maybe around the front to get his food, didn't want to wake people, so maybe he went through the, outside. Maybe he was enjoying the fresh air. Maybe he just wanted to still go on a walk. He wasn't tired. I don't know. We don't know that because nothing's picked him up. A lot of people have also talked about Nina Glass and her searching, and the fact that, I forget how it was worded, people have said, but something along the lines of how they parted ways or whatever the case is, and that's not exactly the case. Nina and her team apparently searched that Corpus Christi area to death. And the family and Tony don't feel that it was fair to continue to bring her out, spend her time, her resources, money, etc., to continue to research areas that have already been searched, that have been aerial searched. And it wasn't fair to her because they feel confident that these areas that they're looking, Caleb's not there. So I want to address that too, so people know what's going on. There's not like any kind of bad blood or anything like that. Now, we're doing this on YouTube, and Caleb's family, their preference or preferred social media method is TikTok. I cannot talk today. TikTok. And their social there, or their handle, is @FindCalebHarris. So go follow them. There's also a Facebook page. That's not ran by the family, but it's ran by people who know the family. And so you could definitely join that too to gather more information. The thing about Facebook groups is that they talk, they're constant. With videos, you get a video when you post a video, and that's kind of how that works. So if it's a case that you're really invested in, you should be invested in. In fact, let me see while I'm doing this if I can pull something else up here. Because I should be this is on me. I should have Caleb's photo up here while I'm talking, because there's a $50,000 reward on him for any leads that bring him back. So there's flyers out there. You can pull them off the Facebook page. I pulled this one off the Facebook page. And here's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do. Keep your head on the swivel. Do what you're doing. Look, be cognizant, though, of the family, of the feelings, because at the end of the day, what I always say with true crime, especially in cases like this, yes, there is a captivating aspect to it. That's why it is a huge niche, a huge genre. But when you're talking about current people, current missing people, current families going through this, every single day when Caleb's dad, Caleb's mom, and his sister get home from whatever they're doing, whenever they go to bed, whenever they wake up, they're wondering if they're ever going to find out what happened to their son. So just please be cognizant of that. But what I'm going to say to do is take this flyer, any flyer, share it on your social. If you post on Facebook, just for your friends, share it. Ask them to share it. If you post on Instagram, you post on TikTok, make a video, about this. Because the more people talking about these cases, the more people keeping these missing people, keeping Caleb in particular, up out front, the more information that you can get, because the more people see them, they might have seen something. People might not, who aren't on TikTok, who aren't on YouTube, they might be like, oh, I saw that kid. He's somewhere. You just never know. So I think that's all really important to make sure that you do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that Tony said that I'm forgetting. I think, though, we're going to have to find out either way eventually on the Reddit account. We're going to have to find out on this witness, it gives a timeline. It changes the timeline a little bit. But now what happened after that? Maybe this will give them the ability to pull street cams or license plate readers. I don't know what they have in Corpus. But hopefully a witness account, seeing him, alive and safe, just kind of minding his own business, walking a dog, at 3:40, 3:45. Maybe that will lead to something else. It can be a domino effect. But he's somewhere, guys. He and all of these other people are somewhere. They didn't leave the earth. They're somewhere. So hopefully this is enough to give you guys kind of the update. I know that Tony wants to try to make it kind of a weekly thing where, whether there's a lot to give or not, we do an update. And I think that's smart. So that's going to be on, he prefers TikTok. I prefer here, or both. And I'm going to try to convince him based on the fiasco that happened with this last thing. But yeah, so definitely you want to make sure to subscribe or hit that follow button depending on what platform you're on. I think right now I'm streaming from YouTube, Instagram, X, and Twitch, which I don't even know why I have a Twitch. I just do. I have no idea why. And then TikTok, of course, on its own separate thing, because that's how they do things. But he's been missing too long. And the longer it goes, without leads, without information, the worse it's going to get. So again, take this, share it, get it out there. Be very cognizant of what's out there as far as rumors. Don't perpetuate rumor mills, and just remember the families out there. So that's what I got for you guys. Maybe back on later tonight, possibly with one of my favorite guests, Dan Catullo, Hollywood director, producer, writer. Came to fame with a bunch of rockumentaries, but also as a side project does a lot of fraternity stuff and exposing the fraternities. And we met during Riley Strain, and there's been a lot of information on Riley Strain. But this live right here is about Caleb. I'm just letting you know what's coming up. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you turning in. If you didn't get a chance to see it live, definitely drop comments. Let us know your thoughts. And lastly, if you know something, if you have seen anything, call the number on this flyer, 361-826-2950. Any tip, anything, even if you think it's insignificant, not a theory or something made up or whatever, but something serious. If you live in that area, and if you live in that area, plaster this flyer everywhere. This kid needs to be found, and somebody knows where he is. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for subbing. And I will see y'all later tonight.